Joink. Hey, our Spidey sense is tingling, and welcome to part 2 of our Spider-Man Brand New Day episode. You know what? Let's just reintroduce ourselves one more time for anybody who's just tuning in now.
John Hoban.
Steve Carbo.
Shawn Fennessy.
And they are my amazing Spider-Man friends. Thank you again for coming on today, everybody. So in part 1, we talked about kind of Spider-Man as a character, and then taking the leap to television, and then eventually taking the leap to film, which seemed to take forever, but like it finally happened. Sam Raimi knocked it out of the park. I still love Spider-Man 3. I don't care what anyone says. I know it's the weakest of the movies, and I'll totally agree to that. But I still love that one more than the next couple that came after it, honestly. So, you know, after the Raimi trilogy hit, you know, Sony just decided to reboot the whole thing because they kind of, they like deflated his idea for what Spider-Man 4 was going to be, and then he was like, you know what, I'm out if we're going to have all these complications. So they just decided to reboot it, and they went in a totally different direction, and I'm still a little upset about it to this day. I had my heart set on part 4. I was like, they can redeem 3 with 4. They can bring back the characters that, you know, we didn't get to see, and I had all these ideas. It was going to be Vulture, and there were all these ideas for like, oh, you know, Bruce Campbell was going to have a cameo as Mysterio, and that would have been cool to see. But alas, it wasn't to happen. Instead, we got Andrew Garfield now as the new Spider-Man. So what moments from those next 2 Amazing Spider-Man movies stick out to you, gents? Good or bad?
Well, let's stay positive at first, right? So I say the positive things. The look of the costume was one of the best Spider-Man costumes on film. From the Amazing Spider-Man 2, I would say. Geez, what else? I think he was a great Spider-Man. I would say not so much a Peter Parker, because he was like too cool for school, and that's not Peter Parker. That's not the one I've ever known. But let's see. The opening sequence in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 was good. But I think I was overall disappointed by that movie because I thought The Amazing Spider-Man 1, while I didn't like it, I thought it set it up really well for a good second one. And then it just, I liked the second one least than the first one. So.
Yeah, I think you have these really high expectations on coming off of Raimi, and then you're like, well, that was like kind of like put it in the comic book, like it was a filler. Like series, like you got like the Todd McFarlane run, and then you just got this other guy doing some whatevers. I thought that the one thing that stands out is, I mean, sorry to spoil this, but it's like 20 years old, right? The death of Gwen was kind of a turning point with comic book movies. Like you could do those heavier stories because I think a lot of them are, there's fights and stuff like that, but you kind of know, well, the good guys, they're gonna be okay in the end. And then they did it. They had her die, and that was like shocking. I remember being in the theater because I hadn't read that. I didn't know much about that backstory and everything. And I was like, wait a minute, did that really happen? I'm like, oh my gosh, that really happened. And it just gave weight to superhero movies. So even though the stories maybe weren't great, everything about but it changed the trajectory of maybe making it a little bit, I don't want to say darker per se, but like there was more weight to the characters.
Yeah, more consequences to actions, yeah. See, and again, I feel like we're going to keep hating on it, but that's fine. And I didn't really do any rewatches because, again, I wasn't overly happy. But if I'm remembering right, I really like the way that series did Flash Thompson. I thought they did a good job of actually having him be kind of that bully, but then turn around in the comics. And like they could use that guy as Age of Venom if they wanted to. I think he did great. And then the lizard fight scene, if I remember right, I thought was pretty darn accurate to the comics, the way he'd move and climb them and all that type of things. Yeah. But then seeing Garfield, I know we're jumping ahead a little bit, save Gwen in the other movies and have that redemption kind of makes that part stand out more than seeing he gets that chance. So I like that too. So.
Yes, that's awesome.
Man, yeah, and bringing in the lizard, like, I'm just gonna hate on these movies for a minute. So like, bringing in the lizard, yes, it was cool to see the lizard. That none of that lizard stuff felt earned, as far as I'm concerned, because they were setting up the lizard in the Tobey Maguire movies. Like, he was always a character. Kurt Connors was always a character. And you're like, oh, he's going to transform. You know, who knows when that's going to happen. And then they rebooted it, and we never got that chance. And now they bring in this new guy that we had no connection to. And now this guy's the lizard. Ha, ha, ha. And it just, you know, they immediately did that. And I felt kind of cheated. I was like, well, I was waiting for that guy to turn into the lizard, not this guy. And I didn't really like the look of the lizard in this one either. I didn't like it. I didn't like the Amazing Spider-Man 1 or 2. Specifically 2, I thought had so much going on, and they were overconfident with what they were doing with this timeline, because they had all these spin-offs planned, and they're like, we're going to do the Sinister Six. No way this can fail. And they wasted so much time on setting up the future that they didn't focus on the movie as a whole. And, you know, they just, the whole movie felt flat to me, both of them. And it just, I can't think of any moments that were better than anything that Sam Raimi gave us. And so, you know, it's the redheaded stepchild to me. Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2. I like to just pretend those don't exist.
So I got a question for you now then.
Yes.
You mentioned it. You mentioned the look of lizard. That lizard, or who was it, Paul Giamatti's Rhino?
Oh!
Just to dig it in a little more. I thought the Rhino one was so bad. It looked it was a mech suit, and he was so small in there.
It was weird. Yeah, it was a weird choice. Yeah.
I got one more thing to say too.
Oh.
I think with the first Amazing Spider-Man, I remember sitting there in the theater watching it, and I'm like, it was after, I think it was 2 of the Christopher Nolan Batman movies came out, and I was like, is this a response? Because everything's at night, and it's just not the Spider-Man bright colors and everything that I was expecting, and it seems like those were probably the same executives that thought Morbius was a good idea, and probably thought Craven and Madam Web was a good idea, and couldn't like pull their heads out of their, you know what?
Yep. Can confirm it was exactly the same people. Yes. So, you know, those happen. I've hated a lot on them. I don't know if I can think of anything that I really liked. I did like Andrew Garfield. I'll say that. Yes. I liked him. Just in general, I knew of him from, you know, The Social Network, and just he was a charming both Spider-Man and Peter Parker, and I liked watching him, and I liked watching Gwen. So the characters were good. Just, you know, nah.
Just didn't hit.
No.
That happens.
Didn't hit. Yeah. And
Swing and a miss.
yeah, so a swing and a swing and a swing and a buddy. So those are those 2 movies. But, you know, it's okay, because thank goodness for Marvel and Disney in general. Like, they found a way to sweet talk Sony into allowing them to use the character, and then those 2 now famously have started working together to bring us like the current iteration of what we now know of Peter Parker, which is Tom Holland. Am I jumping too far ahead? We should probably talk about Spider-Verse first, huh? I'm jumping too far ahead, but there's a bright future. We'll talk about Spider-Verse.
It's a messy timeline.
It is.
It is a very messy timeline once you go there. Yes.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah.
So technically, Tom Holland came first in 2016, but we're going to jump ahead a little bit to 2018, then we're going to backtrack. So 2018 is when the Spider-Verse came out, and that's when, you know, again, Disney and Sony were like, we're going to work together on this Spider-Man character, and I think that's when Sony saw, hey, this is working, actually. Now we're going to plan all of these spin-offs with our studio. So then they announced solo ventures such as Venom and Madame Web, and then they're like, we're also going to jump into the animation side of things as well. And we got our first ever animated Spider-Man movie, which is now Into the Spider-Verse. And so what are our thoughts on that one?
I kind of separate in my mind every time I see movies. I just don't animation doesn't seem as real as live action to me. It just doesn't. But I would say, like, when I saw those movies, it was almost like watching a living work of art. The animation style was so different than anything I'd seen. I think that and Arcane, League of Legends on Netflix, were the two animation styles at the time. I'm like, wow, they really put a lot into this. This was like art. This is not like cookie cutter stuff. And I thought the characterizations and the multiverse and everything, or the Spider-Verse, and some of the characters you get to know. I mean, you get Spider-Man Noir, you get Spider-Ham, you got Ghost Spider or Spider-Gwen, you get Spider-Punk is big with the kids right now too. So just elevating those characters that were just kind of afterthoughts in the comics, what that animation had done for them is fantastic. And you can kind of go places in animation that you can't go in live action too, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the Spider, I didn't really know much about it, like going into it. Like a lot of times I'll know about movies, like Spider-Man 2. I already knew, like I've watched this trailer a million times, but like going into this, I'm like, oh, this looks cool. I'm gonna go to it. And I was like blown away. It was like the speakers in the face, kind of in those old commercials. Like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever. And it was like watching a comic book. Like I grew up on comic books, and like every scene, it's like turn the page, turn the page, turn the page, and like the kind of the stylings that they used, like different stylings for different emotions, and the way that people talked, or like when like the Prowler comes in, it's like screechy, and like I just thought the production of the movie was just mind blowing. And I had zero history with Miles Morales. My comics are back in the old days. Like I have no history with him, and I just immediately like, this is a great character, and his dad's great, and his mom's great, and Prowler's great, and like all of these characters were just put together. Kingpin was awesome, and so I thought they put the story together like a 10 comic book run, crossover. All that, like it was. I thought it was amazingly done, and again came out of nowhere for me. I had no expectation of it going in, and it's still like right on my like top one to pull out and just watch anytime.
Wow.
Yeah, I had read the comics that, I don't know if it was loosely based on or whatever, but there were these vampire type beings hunting down variants of Spider-Man to survive and be eternal, and going in and seeing all the different characters. And I grew up with Spider-Ham. I'm trying to remember the team name he was on, because Captain Carrot was DC, I think. It was like Superman's version, and he could eat radioactive carrots to get fly and stuff. But Spider-Ham had a team. And there was other ones. Yeah, so I'll have to look that up at next break.
Was
But
Frog on there?
Were they all
Thor.
anthropomorphic?
They were, yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
And then it might be a hot take. I don't know if it is, but I still think the two Spider-Verse movies might be my favorite ones, just because it was like watching a comic live, and just they could do anything they wanted. The way the characters moved, the music just hit perfect.
Yeah.
I just loved it. And at my last work meeting, we got to see about 15 minutes of the new one. Oh. Yeah, this is no phones, nothing. You can't record anything like that. Yeah. And some of it was literally storyboard stuff and then moving the stuff and everything like that. But they were just hyping it up, and it looked
Nice. Excellent.
It's great.
Can't wait to see it.
Oh, so jelly.
Yeah, that one
Sean,
keeps getting
so
bumped.
jelly.
Right? Like it's like.
It's been a while. And that cliffhanger.
Yeah. We're waiting. Come on, Sony. We got our money waiting for you.
Right?
Yeah. More Spider-Verse. Yeah, I'll have to piggyback on what you guys were saying. Like my most glowing review I can give in those Spider-Verse movies is, if you could tell somebody you're watching a comic book, that is what the Spider-Verse movie is like, even with the little ink dots and everything. Like it's so beautiful. It's so beautifully done. Every single thing is. It seems like it's very well thought out, which isn't really Sony's thing. I'll just say that. So I went in with low expectations, and then I was wowed by what I wound up seeing with both of them. So very good job with those. I can't wait for the third one. Hopefully they have more things planned like that, and hopefully they do more animated movies based on properties like that they can really pay attention to. Any other thoughts on the Spider-Verse movies?
Well, I have a question, if you don't mind. Since
Yeah.
we're talking about animation, did any of you see the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man on Disney Plus?
No.
Couple episodes.
Did you like it?
The animation style, I liked it because it looked very retro comic booky.
Okay.
But in that cell shading.
Yeah.
But no, I thought it was good, but not enough to go back when other stuff was out that I haven't got back to yet. You?
I actually really liked it. I thought I wouldn't. Because the first couple episodes, I'm like, but I kind of liked how they kept the look of Peter Parker and Spider-Man Classic, and then everything around him was modern. It was just kind of weird, but it was in a good way.
Because Norman had like dreadlocks and stuff, if I remember right.
Yeah.
So I mean, modern hair and everything.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I definitely need. Is it just one season right now?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know if they're gonna do another one.
Maybe it'll pick up. Like I keep hoping that they do like an X-Men '97 situation with Spider-Man and continue the story as though like nothing had happened. Because Spider-Man '94 ended on a cliffhanger that has not really been resolved. I guess they mention it in X-Men '97, but I want to see the continuation of those characters and things. That's what I'd hope for. Anyway, so let's rewind a little bit now, back to 2016. Yay! Spider-Man shows up in the MCU where he belongs, and he's handled well. He shows up, and it's Tom Holland, who is a very strong Spider-Man and Peter Parker, and he's the current Spider-Man and Peter Parker. What are our thoughts on all of that? All of that. You pick from anything. There's so much to go through.
This is its own segment.
Minus the brand new one. We'll get into that in its own thing. But yeah, everything leading up to it.
Well, I think when I saw him in Civil War, I was like, this is the Spider-Man I always wanted to see on screen.
Oh, wow.
I want Spider-Man to be wisecracking and then unbearably, like almost cringily awkward when he's Peter Parker. And I thought that Tom Holland was probably the closest that I saw to both of those in one package. And so I was super excited to see him. And then the Homecoming was good. I liked the tension. I remember the tension in the theater when everyone saw that Liz's dad was the Vulture. That reveal was pretty cool and well done. Michael Keaton was great. Mysterio's kind of turn, and then at the end of the post-credit scene, we can do spoilers, right?
Yeah.
The J. Jonah Jameson at the end, he's like, Spider-Man! My son and I were like, what? Just going crazy in the theater. And then, of course, I think my favorite part of, No Way Home is great, but I think my favorite part of the whole thing is just the three at the top of the Statue of Liberty just talking. And they're like, I fought an alien with black goo once, and then like Garfield cracking Toby's back and stuff like that. I thought, so I'm a bigger fan of, I think, the characters. My favorite Spider-Man movie we'll get into later, but this is my favorite Spider-Man, is Tom Holland.
Yeah, I think I would agree that Tom Holland is like the combining of the best parts of Spider-Man and Peter Parker. I think like Tobey Maguire's kind of awkwardness, he's a good Peter Parker, and Andrew Garfield's wisecracking, good Spider-Man, and then Tom Holland, you bring them together, and he just fit right into the MCU. Civil War is like my favorite Marvel comic movie ever. Like that, I'll go on for days about that one. But introducing him there was great. And that it really, I think, even more so than the other, like portrayed the teenagery aspect of Peter Parker. Like you really kind of okay, he is in school, but he is super smart, but he's still doing the growing teenager stuff where maybe like Andrew and Toby are kind of I don't know. Tom looks the part a little bit better, I feel, and then just weaving Spider-Man into the larger universe, I thought was pretty slick. I think they did a good job with that. And so all the movies up to the newest one, saw them all, loved them all. I thought they were great. They're very entertaining. When I read Spider-Man comics, it was like I just want to read fun adventure stories, and you can bring in all kinds of different stuff. And they did that. I think they did it really well.
Nope, I thought it was great. The banter was perfect. Like you mentioned, the awkwardness, but then just almost being unsure of his powers while he's doing stuff. And he's like, oh, that worked. Oh, I'm doing this. And he's just jumping around. But then I think if they keep using him as Spider-Man going forward, which I would hope they would, if you've read the comics, he becomes a college professor. He forms Parker Industries, and he's this tech giant. You've got the Superior Spider-Man storyline where Doc Ock, I think he would do great as that. Yes. There's so much more potential with him as he's getting older that I think they could keep him around for a long time and do a lot with it. So I'm excited for what would happen too. And now with the Fantastic Four, you could join the Fantastic Four. What was it, a future?
They can do the new Fantastic Four too with Hulk and Ghost
Yes.
Rider and
Yep.
Wolverine.
So we've got all these options now, and I think they could keep him a long time and keep a lot of good ideas rolling with him as an actor.
Absolutely.
Till he's 90. Yeah, like they knocked it out of the park with the casting of Tom Holland, and like it was smart to get an actual teenager. And you know, we're growing up with him now, and we can spend an awful lot of time with him. He's still young, he's still spry. They make a couple of random, like, oh, you're getting old Spider-Man jokes like in the new one. It's like, no, he's not. Look at him. He's got it for a while. Like they can do 6 more Spider-Man movies if they plan them well enough. I just love everything about these movies for the most part, the new ones. I think every now and then I feel like some of the villains are not quite represented the way I'd like to see them. I think Sam Raimi really did a good job with his villains. Like, I guess, case in point, well, they did a good job with Mysterio, and then bringing in all these new villains, or the old villains for No Way Home was good. I guess I'm thinking about the new movie. I don't want to like spoil anything too much yet, but I wish things would have been handled differently with some of those villains in the new movie. Otherwise, I don't know. I like the Shocker. I guess that's the one I wanted to talk about. The Shocker. I wanted to see that classic yellow suit that he has, and I wanted to see more with him. I wanted like him to be the central villain, not just kind of a side character, you know. And then they do the same thing later with the Scorpion. I was like, I wanted a big Scorpion story. I didn't want Scorpion for a couple of seconds, but I'll rant more about that when it's time. But other than that, like I feel like these movies are great, and Spider-Man is where he needs to be in the MCU, and he can interact with all these characters, and you know, continue to do the Spider-Man thing that he does. Any other thoughts on the first 10 years of this new Spider-Man?
The only thing I would add is that I really wanted Doc Ock to call somebody adult, and I wanted him to say the die is cast, and he never did. But that's it.
Okay. Well, with that, we're going to take a quick little break here. Then we're going to get into the new Spider-Man movie, and there's a lot of good I want to say, but I also have to vent a little bit about it as well. I can't see my cursor. Ha 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 ha. Totally blind here. Oh, there it is. Okay, there it is. All right, so.
And then he moves it again.
There was a thing I was going to try to show. Well, I'll just roll a break. All right, so stick around, my friends. When we come back, we'll talk about the new movie and then the future of Spider-Man. And then we'll talk about ourselves a little bit more as well. So stick around. Boink. There. All right, I'm taking this off now.